Hello. Hello, hello. We're here. We're here. Ha, I made it. We did it. We got here. We did it. It's all in the bag. My manager at my part-time seasonal, Liz, you first. Congratulations. No one can ever take that away from you until tomorrow. Um, my manager has been pushing the schedule around to give me hopefully enough time to run home, set things up, so we can slide in and do this on Fridays. So here we are. The idea is on the simpler side, but maybe we can spice it up. Number one thing, I pulled something out of the freezer, thawed it out, and it's ready to go. It was a beef chuck roast that I picked up for a different project, ended up not using, and froze. So the date on it is in fact November 8th, but it's been frozen since before then. We have some peppers, because I always seem to find more peppers. I was just given some very nice looking sweet basil from someone's indoor garden. So I've got fresh basil to work with, which is kind of what triggered me to go on with this. And otherwise, we're kind of putting together a pretty straightforward thing. I still have half of this orange from our Monday project. The cut surface has gotten all dried out, but otherwise it looks great. So let's put some orange in. You know, don't you know? So, yeah, we're gonna be a little bit chill. I had to prep some things before I left. And I had to make sure everything was cleaned up before I left because there was no way I was going to do that last minute before I got started. So I did not have the mad scramble of what am I going to do today. I'm going to get out a pot to start. This pot. We're going to do everything in this pot. With one pot, technically it's not going to be one pot because we can't boil the pasta in the pot with the rest of it. But other than that, I think we can do it as a one pot today. We've got a little bit of ham. We've got pork fat. We've also got bacon fat and olive oil. Do I put bacon in my mirepoix to start? Do I even bother with a proper mirepoix, or do I do a rough and tumble sofrito? Ooh, what do we think? Bacon? I think bacon. I think maybe bacon. I have beef bacon. Digging a little bit because the freezer is always completely jammed full of everything. I'm trying to get down to my this. Cooking bacon. It's like bacon, but you cook with it because it's big, weird, irregular chunks instead of nice, neat chunks. Do I have a little tiny piece of ham left, or did I use that? Old-fashioned French mirepoix, as in like 1600s era French mirepoix, actually calls for both bacon and ham in with your vegetables. But I'm going to start us with some bacon. Some freezer burned bacon, but it'll be fine. It'll be fine. Frozen bacon, I have found, is pretty easy to cut, even straight out of the freezer. The fat doesn't really get rock hard, so you can push a knife through it. It's some effort. It's not like it's an easy slice. Oh, you know what I need is this thing needs to be secured. It might be time to think about a new cutting board, honestly. We're wet paper towel. I was thinking rubber bands. So how's it going, Liz? Oops, that was the wrong way. Hiding in bed from the cold or from the axe murderer? Or from something else? I suppose I went right to cold or axe murderer because that makes the most sense, but... Alright, let's get those bacons rendering. That fat will be our starting point from feeling bad. Oh no, feel better. Well, stick around, kid. Feel a little bit better. Ryuya! Long time no see, Ryuya. How's it going? Putting the rest of that bacon back. I don't need a ton of bacon. I'll leave the bacon out. Things are too full in here. Things are too full in here. Ooh, that's a good idea. We'll use those. Well, I'll be here cooking, chit-chatting, I guess listening if you feel like sharing, but not if you don't. I need to clean up the freezer again and again and again. I need to stop buying stuff. Uno. Uno's a fun game. I like Uno. Well, glad to see you. So we're starting with the bacon. We're just going to let that start rendering out over there. Slide over here. These, I pulled them out to make some room. These are actually ramps. I minced them, I parboiled them, minced them, and froze them in ice cube trays. And there are 2 little blocks left, and we're going to use those to clear that bag. I've had those for quite a while now. Ramps are like a wild garlic onion thing. Let's see, we're gonna need the celery. we're going to need the carrot. And we're going to need the onion. Wow, I only have colossal non-red onions. It's like a softball. Your brain is being mean. Well, I know there's nothing I can do but offer solidarity. So, get solidarity divided. I do not need this much onion. I think we're going to use half of this onion. Because this onion is so big. I don't want to use a red onion for this. I want to use a white onion. I don't have a white onion. I have yellow onion. This one's just so big. And then we're just going to use the top half and save the other half. Because again, I don't need that much onion. So my work at the game store has been going quite well. I'm rather enjoying it. I do keep spending money on magic cards. Not a ton, but little bits here and there that I probably shouldn't. But it's so tempting. It's so tempting. Flemish! Oh my god. Oh my god. Flemish is here. Howdy, howdy. Howdy, howdy. Howdy, howdy. Welcome, welcome. Ah. That's certainly news, Liz. Probably nothing you can sue them about, right? Tell you what, I know a guy. He's in New York. Maybe we can get him to pay that steel mill a visit. Okay, let's slide back over here. My bacon is getting real toasty, so let's get that pushed around. A lot of fat rendered out in there. We're going to bring the temperature down because we are toasting it a little bit toastily, but we're also going to bring the temperature down by dumping in vegetables. Which in that case is the onion we just cut up. But we also have some celery. show off my knifing a little bit. I so rarely do. Oop, and a carrot. We'll just pick a nice-ish, smallish, medium-ish carrot. We don't need a ton of carrot. We're getting rid of the top. We're getting rid of the tip. We're going to cut it there. We're going to split that side lengthwise. I am going with more of a rough sofrito than a proper mirepoix, because I didn't bother mincing this stuff up. I'm just going to trust that it's going to cook down in the process of softening the meat later, and we won't have big crunchy chunks. Okay, we're gonna push this around a little bit, get everybody in the pool, so to speak. The bacon's giving us some flavor. It's also giving us a little bit of starting saltiness, as well as the fat. I'm gonna give it just a little bit of olive oil for flavor, and because the vegetables picked up just a tiny bit more of the bacon fat than I was initially hoping. Oh, Raya. Thank you so much for the sub. It has been a little bit, hasn't it? Oh. And Flemish. Flemish, I forgot to say 5 months. For your 5 months. That's almost a year. Raya, that's almost a year. Let's see, put away the carrot, put away the celery. We don't need those. We are going to want the parsley out, though, so let's get that out. That's a broccoli. I don't need broccoli. Don't need broccoli. Time is flying, absolutely rocketing along. Let's get this pepper cut up. Once again, I found some discount bell peppers. This time it was 3 bell peppers and a pomelo for $1. So we're going to have to do something with that pomelo, because that seems like it's going to be fun. I'm not sure what to do with a pomelo. Bookwoman. Ragout. Indeed. Ragout. We are merely at the stage of our sofrito. Hi, Bookwoman. Welcome, welcome. But yeah, the impetus for today was I was given this bag of fresh basil, and every time I open the freezer I see this. So we're combining these. And as long as I'm making room in the freezer, we're going to throw in some of those the last few of those ramps in that bag. From the ramps from 2 summers ago. How was my Thanksgiving? I went with a pretty basic Thanksgiving. I wasn't able to travel this year because of my part-time work. They needed me for the day before Thanksgiving and the day after Thanksgiving, so travel was just unfeasible. So I made Thanksgiving for one, and honestly, I've made better Thanksgivings in my time, but it was a perfectly serviceable Thanksgiving. Okay, let's just dunk these peppers in as we do them. Yeah, I'm currently on the lookout for a chest freezer, which I've been reliably informed that if I'm able to find a chest freezer on the marketplace, on Facebook Marketplace, listed as free, a friend of mine says he can get it in working order for very little cost and help me get it home, which would be nice. Because in his own experience, he finds chest freezers on Facebook Marketplace that are being sold because the person does not know how to recharge Freon, or they don't use Freon these days, they use cyclohexane. And they just don't bother checking up with it. They say, oh, it doesn't get cold anymore, I'm going to get rid of it. And they'd rather someone just haul it away. And you can get a refrigerant recharge kit for way, way, way less than a new chest freezer. Okay, those are the basic vegetables. Oops. The basic vegetables taken care of are onions, celery, carrot, bell pepper, and bacon. The 5 basic vegetables. I'm not sure about that. Finding a leak shouldn't be that hard. There's not like there's a ton of not like there's a ton to work with in there. Since we're looking for one specifically listed as free, and he's willing to do the hauling around, I'm willing to defer. Flemish drove to Texas. The barren hellscape of Texas? Yeah. I've only been to the Hat part of Texas, the little square bit that pokes up on the top. And it's was filled with high-density cattle lots, which, if you've never seen one of those, they are kind of awful. And they are also kind of where a lot of the cheap beef comes from. Speaking of beef, let's get this guy unloaded. He's looking mighty nice. He's looking quite fine, if I do say so. He's looking perhaps roast-worthy, although we're not roasting him. I'm going to switch to the long slicer to get into this guy, though. We are very meat forward on this recipe. Take that part off. Cut this part in half. So chuck is a tough but flavorful and well-marbled piece. Well, not really well-marbled. It has a big hunk of fat on the side, which we are not trimming away today. I'm going to render it out. Our thing is going to be kind of fatty in the end. We're going for richness. Because it's chili, and a nice, rich, filling meal is just what you want on a chilly day. Yeah, also true, Liz. They don't always. The leek might be. There might not be a full-on leak. It might be age, or it might be such a slow leak that it loses it over the course of its lifetime, but you'd never find where it's coming out. Okay. First chunk of meat is going in. We're just going to let it ride on top of the vegetables to start. Okay, it was a little bit dried out on the outermost surface. I will say that. Having it in my freezer, even wrapped up, it did dry out a little bit. This is why I didn't want too much bacon. Bacon's there to get us started and to get us a little bit of flavor, but this is the main event. And boy, this is a really fatty piece. Possibly even fattier than I was expecting. Would have made a good burger, I think, with all that extra fat in there. There's a pie you make for get-togethers. Your brother asked for the recipe. Well, they're trying to cut you out. Clearly, they're trying to cut you out of the... Like, oh, we won't have to invite Flemish anymore. We can just make the pie on our own. Don't give it to him. Oh, you gave it to him. Well, that's it. The last you'll ever see of him. Okay, that's all of our meats diced up. Nice big chunky chunks. Exactly. You gotta have a selling point. Something only you can offer to the family. That's how all families work. 100% transactional. Okay, if I slide this over here, you can see that my vegetables are all completely hidden by my meats. And I am going to also salt the tops of the meats. But they're not going to do a lot of good rendering poking up at the top like that. So we're going to have to get it stirred in. And now that there's a great deal of mass in there, we can bring our temperature back up without fear of burning the bottom. Very beefy smell. Very beef-forward aroma. Squirrel! Squirrel! Hi, Squirrel. Welcome in. Get on in here. Pile in. Do the thing. Gotcha. Isosceles, you're not first. Congratulations. You made it. You did it. You're not first. I do need a 490 to render the beef. Yeah, that beef's got a wee bit of fat on it. That's gonna be a... There's gonna be a thing. It might end up being greasy. We are going to attempt to do the tricks that I can think of to control the greasiness without having to skim the fat. There's things you can do about it. So let's find out together, won't we? I'm going to start adding a few other things to it. We're going to throw onion powder, garlic powder, you know, the classics. And oregano on the top. Push comes to shove, we can skim it off. But I'm going to attempt to not skim it off. The idea here, my idea is I want to make... We're making a sauce for pasta, but not one that you would pile a big ton of it on there. It's going to be more of a, you would put a bit of it on. So it's okay if it's a bit too greasy, a bit too rich, because we're balancing it out by not using as much of it. Which also means I want the flavors to really pop, sing, so to speak. Let's also chunk these guys in right on top, because we're using both of them and they're going in now. Those are our minced blanched ramps from 2 summers ago now. And now we're gonna watch this whole thing kind of broddle away for a bit. Which means we have a little bit of time to kill. I want to put in the fresh basil now. We'll just end up cooking it to death. Likewise with the black pepper, we'll lose any of our pop if we put it in now. You know what I'm going to put in now? We've had such a good luck with citrus in our various stew-like things lately. And we've got half of that orange from our other thing, orange shrimp. I'm going to dice this guy up, throw him in, really stew him out. We're not going to use the little end. There's no orange flesh inside of it. There is in that bit. So we're making an orange beef ragout. Simply by virtue of I have some orange I want to use up. Sometimes that's how you gotta cook. It's like, what have I got? Literally, what do I have on hand right now that I can make food with without having to go anywhere to get anything? Beef and oranges. Gotcha. Done. Problem solved. We are still working off of that lesson we learned weeks ago now from the pastisada that stewed citrus with meat is just really, really good. Including the rind. And in both cases previously when I put in whole slices, what I was disappointed with was that they were big slices and not finely minced up bits or diced up little bits like this. So we're going with the diced up, so you can't avoid them. So if it's a mistake, oops, that was a mistake. So if it's a mistake, we can't avoid it. Okay, let's get all this stuff stirred through. Let's get those ramps tucked underneath a bit so they have a chance to finish thawing. There's going to be way more here than I need. And yeah, that's generally where I'm headed today, is just kind of just play around with this. We'll pick a pasta shape to put this on. It's going to be really, really chunky. It's coming out really chunky is the goal. Like coarse. So honestly, large shells would be probably the best shape. I don't think I have shells. Better to have too much than not enough. Yes. In this case, yes. What shapes do I have? I have penne, I have rigatone, I have spaghetti. We don't want a long, skinny pasta for this, because this is big, chunky boy. I have more penne. I have orzo. Of what I have available, we're either going with rigatone or we're going with ravioli. I have some, like, ready to go, not ready to go, but like, I don't have to make them. Raviolis. That might be excessive, maybe? I feel like rigatoni is the most logical one, but these chunks might be even too chunky for that. Depending on how far we cook it down. We could potentially cook this until the meat really disintegrates. That would take a while. Can we speed that up at all? We could if we used the pressure pot. I'm not going to transfer all this into the pressure pot now. What else? What else tenderizes meat? We definitely want to cook it until the fat is all soft and rendered out, because I don't want to bite into any chewy pieces of fat. So that is an absolute can't be less than that. So what do you guys think? What shape? What shape? I wish I had large shells. I wish I had large shells. But we don't, so we can't do that. Actually, I have small shells with cheese sauce. I have a box of shells and cheese. We could take the cheese sauce and just use the shells. I have penne. My thought with the penne is the openings are too small to really grab onto the chunky sauce, which is why I was gravitating towards rigatone. Because the holes are bigger, the openings in the rigatone are bigger. Okay, we're losing a lot of our volume. It's not standing up quite so much, which is good. It means stuff is starting to cook out. I'm still seeing some big, sort of bouncy chunks of fat in there, so we're not anywhere near our target. I don't have any ratiatore. That would be a good shout, though. That one would be a good idea. That would be able to really grab. We do have rotelle. We do have some rotelle. Some baking soda. Oh, that's a good idea. Not too much. Not too much. You don't want very much, but a teensy bit. Baking soda would too much, and you're going to start tasting it, and you really don't want to taste it. If you've ever had straight baking soda, it doesn't taste good. So that was just a pinch. That wasn't even a measured amount. It probably was about 1/8 of a teaspoon for that whole pot. And I'd be hesitant to do any more than that. But yes, good idea. Good idea. This is why I like you guys, having you guys here. Rotelle might work. What else have we got? We've got long skinny noodles. I just don't think long skinny noodles are the right call for a chunky sauce like this. Just perusing my options. I also want to put a little bit of wine in there. Which one do I have available? I have a Cabernet Sauvignon. I don't want a massive ton of that either. Just a bit for flavor. Since our pot is still quite wet on the bottom, we're not really doing a deglaze with it. Well, I guess we are a little bit. I haven't put in any fresh garlic yet either. Instead, we have the ramps, which are garlicky but not quite like real garlic. So we do have room to potentially put in regular garlic as well. And it does have garlic powder in it. I should probably give it a taste before I go too far. Oh, it needs something, but it also needs to cook the meat more, but we're on the right track. We're on the right track. What do you need? Speak to me. What do you need? I almost want to say it needs a little more salt, but it probably needs a little... It's going to need some acidity. Yeah, I don't want to add that just yet. I'm going to add a little bit of MSG to it. To, like, boost it. It does need some acidity. I'm not going to add the acidity quite yet. But yeah, we're going to add some tomato. Which one of these is the one? I have a can of crushed tomato. We are putting in some basil. I have to remember that there's basil going in, and parsley, and black pepper, which I didn't want to put in any of those too early because they would just get cooked to nothingness if I put them in too early. Yeah, probably just some like ordinary garlic, which we don't have in there yet. This is a Hunt's house. But you know, ketchup is acidic, tomatoey, little sweet. It's got all those elements we were just talking about. A little bit of sweetness might go a long way in our mix. Maybe they. I feel like I have to call them because they're not watching. Hunts, if you're watching, um, call me. Red Gold, if you're watching, call me. You're both the discount brands that I think are indistinguishable from the bigger name brands. Ooh, I smell something. Something toasty. Something slightly burny, maybe. Ooh, we're burning. Okay, heat down. We're definitely burned the bottom a little bit. We now actually have to do a deglaze. We actually have... Mags! Hi! We're going to do a little deglaze with a little... I'm going to use plain old water. I'm going to use plain old water. We got a little bit of burn. I can smell it. Trust your nose. The nose knows, and the nose said, something smells a little like toast. And we want to make sure that anything that sticks to the bottom gets picked up into the mix. Okay, we weren't super burned. We were just... It was catching. It was catching, but it wasn't the worst burn I've ever seen. But we're going to bring our temperature down a little bit. And actually, we're going to bring our temperature down a little bit more. Even a little bit more than that. And we're going to slap the lid on it and let that stuff bruttle while I'm playing around on the far side. Oh no, it's not ruined. It's going to be a little... There's going to be a little bit of a toasty note in there because it did catch and I had to release it. So it's going to be a little bit of a toasty note, but it wasn't like it was fully burnt on the bottom. It was just starting to catch. The baking soda, oh, you're right, the baking soda. That's exactly what happened. The baking soda, so what baking soda does, and what it was doing there, is it changes the temperature at which the Maillard reaction occurs. Maillard reaction being caramelization, burning, or not burning, browning, caramelization, browning stuff in cooking. So it's excellent for making stuff brown easily, but also when you add it to something like that, it makes it start to brown and catch much, much faster. I also forgot that it does that. I was also aware and forgot. We're just having so much fun that we forget about what's happening. Make sure not to use the blade edge of your knife when you scrape off your garlic smasher, because that's a neat way to ruin the blade of your knife. And by neat, I mean easy and bad. You can tell the difference between Heinz and Hunt's. No high fructose corn syrup. Thicker and richer than Hunt's traditional. They're not even comparing it to other brands. They're comparing it to their own previous kind of worse thing. The first ingredient is tomatoes. So that's pretty good. Now the second ingredient is sugar. I would rather the second ingredient be vinegar, personally, but those are really, really hard to find. How you doing in there? Doing okay? We're doing okay. Garlic, fresh basil, fresh parsley, can of tomato, big can of tomato. Do I have small can of tomato? Or do I only have big can of tomato? Tomato, how are you doing? I think I only have big can of tomato. I've got a lot of beans. We could make chili. It's not too late to change course and turn this into a chili. An Italian spiced chili. Corn. A ragout and a chili are not that far away from each other. Oh no, don't give them an apology. Never apologize to a corporation. Cripe's sake. Heck, I bet you if you did some research, you'd find Heinz probably bought Hunt's and owns them if you track it down. ConAgra. Oh, okay. Hunt's is owned by ConAgra. If that, for what that's worth. So if we're taking this in tomato direction, all my canned tomatoes are this size. This one's already crushed, so this one's the easiest one to just pop open and toss in. Should we do that, or are we still cooking it out a little bit? Oh, we're still cooking it out a little bit because the garlic has to go in. So let's slide over. Ow. Anyways, no one owes an apology to ConAgra. Like, no one. Ever. Oh, we've gotten much wetter in here. Probably because I added water. Okay, let's mix in our fresh garlic. Let that cook just a smidge. Honestly, I don't know if I want to add a whole can of tomatoes. I think that's too much tomato. I think we might go with tomato paste. Make this a low tomato. Oh, regular Heinz has distilled vinegar. They do that. I've noticed that. They will list a couple different sugars so that they can move them lower on the list behind something else instead of just using one sugar. So the Hunt's here, sugar is the second ingredient, but the sugar that it lists is cane sugar. It's the second ingredient, but it's the only sugar listed, and it's, you know, white sugar. Not that white sugar is good for you, but it's not quite as bad for you. I think we're going to pull the plug on the big can of tomatoes, and we're going to make this a... I think we're going to pull the plug on using the big can of tomatoes. We're going to make this a low tomatoes mix. Not no tomatoes. We're going to get some tomato paste and cook that out. Let's see, that's not tomato paste. That was anchovies. Where's my tomato paste? Oh, you know, What's this? What's this? What's this? Strained tomatoes. You guys are looking at the wrong screen. This one. Palmy strained tomatoes. But if I open this, we're using the whole thing, and it's just about the same amount that's in one of those cans, so probably not. But I have to remember I have that. This is what I was looking for. Tomato paste. Heinz Simply Tomato Ketchup, equivalent to Hunt's, the one I've got. Tomato concentrate, distilled vinegar, cane sugar, salt. Okay, so theirs has less sugar than vinegar, which is what you want. Whereas this stuff, which is what we're actually adding, has 2 ingredients. Tomato, salt. In that order. So I'm going to use this stuff instead. And we're going to balance our acidity on our own using vinegar. Although there's some acidity in there from the oranges. But yeah, we're going with a low tomato sauce here. I'm just calling an audible on it. So that was about 1/3 of that tube. So quite a bit of the tube, but significantly less overall tomato. And some vinegar. What are my options? What are my options? We have black vinegar, we have rice vinegar, we have apple cider vinegar, we have red wine vinegar. 6% acidity. Flemish has got to run to work. No problem, Flemish. I'll be here. I'm adding a dash of vinegar. Pictures, of course, will be in Discord and also in my new Blueski. And if I remember, which I'm supposed to remember, in Instagram, which is the one I have the hardest time remembering. But the Blueski, I've been quite enjoying that now that I'm there. We're gradually going to integrate that into our whole thing. Okay, fascinating what this is becoming. It's really pastifying as we go. I should probably give you a link to my Blueski. Somebody got my name before I got there, which really makes me mad. So I had to go with the hyphened one here. I feel like somebody was just grabbing every name from socials that they could find and sitting on them. This is looking pretty good. Oh, ooh, it's getting a very rich aroma. We're gonna put in, I think, the basil now. Really, let me pin that so it doesn't fill up the, or it doesn't disappear. Should have put that at the start. Do we put in the basil now? The basil wants time to infuse, but doesn't want to be in there too long, or it'll just be cooked out to nothing. Yep. I'm aware. I've told you about how when you add salt to a tomato, it makes MSG. That is where the MSG comes from. Fresh tomatoes do not contain MSG. What they contain is glutamic acid. There's a lot of basil here. Wow. But when you add salt to glutamic acid, it combines and makes MSG. It's real simple. It's a very, very simple reaction. Which is why salted tomatoes taste so good. That can't go in the fridge. That'll get creepy if I throw it in the fridge. But yes. But we've got to get some basil in there. So we're going to do a chiffonade of basil. Slide back over, chiffonade our basil, stir it through. I almost feel like it needs a little bit more water, actually, because it's getting a little bit too pasty, and I want it to simmer a little more. So let's add a half cup of water and see what that does. I don't want it to get too dry because it won't simmer if it's too dry. It'll start to really want to catch. Okay. I'm going to transfer. No, I'm going to leave it in the front. It can be the main event. I can do the pasta in the back corner. Y'all know what pasta looks like. But we are re-lidding it. It's looking really good, and it's really, really condensed. You have a brand of seasoned tortilla chips called Julio's. It seems like it has crack on it. MSG, when used appropriately, makes things taste really, really, really good. It's almost magical how good properly used MSG tastes. It's just one of those. It's just one of those things, and it's really a huge shame that America took a whole that MSG is bad for you. It gives you headaches. Don't eat Chinese food. Era, which was 100% just racism against Chinese immigrants. Because damn, it's super tasty. If you use it properly. You can easily misuse it. You can't just throw it into anything willy-nilly and make it taste great. It does need to be paired with already savory things and put in the right amounts and balanced out. Otherwise, have you ever tasted it by itself? Just MSG by itself? It tastes weird. It tastes real weird on its own. It is clearly not meant to be. You're not meant to be able to taste it. Because boy, is it weird. Let's see, that's tomato bouillon. That's pork. That's not chicken. That's chicken. That's dashi. That's... Ooh, you know, I did say a little bit of sweetness from the ketchup might be a good addition. And then we didn't add any ketchup, so we didn't add any sweetness. But molasses. Molasses will give us some sweetness and some bitterness and some dimension. Not too much, not too much. But a little bit of molasses. I think it's just the ticket. Because without a full big thing of tomatoes in there, we're not getting any of that sugar. We're not getting that sweet sugar from the tomatoes. There's way less in the tomato paste because it's already been reduced down a ton. Although we're also getting sweetness, some sweetness out of the carrots, onions, and celery from the very, 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 very start. Okay. We will let this brudle. We will ensure that it doesn't burn by adding a little bit more water, stirring that water to the bottom. Thing with water, you can always cook water back out, especially when you're working with something where you want the other ingredients to be really, really well cooked. So adding some water to slow something down often just works. It just works. A great man said that once. So they're going to let that brudle, and I guess we're going to start our pasta water, which means we're coming down to the end of our discussion about which pasta is the correct shape for this. What did we settle on? I still think rigatoni is going to be my vote. And as you know, my vote counts for 2. A large flat shape. We don't have a large flat shape available. And we did not start the day out by making tagliatelle. I could have made my own and made a tagliatelle. That would have been good. That would have been what you call for. I do not have farfalle. What I've got rotelle, I've got rigatone, I've got spaghetti, I've got orzo, I've got penne. I've got couscous. That's technically a pasta. That's what we got to work with. Oh, I have. What are you? What are you? I have skinny macaroni. Those are our options. Oh, I have ravioli. I have raviolis. We could put it on the raviolis. Isosceles wants dino shapes, or nothing. Raviolis would make it very decadent. Those raviolis are also a beef and cheese mix filling. So it would be extra decadent, extra meaty. But that is an option. Liz votes rigatoni, which is where I was gravitating anyways. I think the holes, I said earlier, large shells, I think were the best shape, and I wish I had them. Because they'd be really good at grabbing this thick, chunky sauce. Your kitchen is a disaster. You have no motivation to make dinner since you have to clean first. I have been there. I have been there so many times you don't even know. I have canceled a stream because I didn't do my dishes and was like, ugh, canceled. So, I feel you. That's a mood. Garlic in the garlic house. This is starting to simmer quite nicely. That's what I wanted to do. The beef was chewy but serviceable earlier, so if we just keep going on it like this, it should get really well tenderized. That is unfortunate. Do you perchance? It's most likely, having done delivery myself in the past, the most likely answer is that it is one street over in either direction from you. Your same house number, but at one block off. That's the most frequent misdelivery. Especially if it's dark, they will maybe not have been able to see everything quite clearly, and they'll be nearby but out of. So, fingers crossed one of your neighbors has it. Let's get the rigatoni. Crybaby Cryptid. Welcome in. Hi. Yeah, no, that is easily. I've had misdeliveries here. I've received misdeliveries here that are for one block over. I've actually met those people because I took their package over for them. But also, I did delivery myself, and when there was a misdelivery, that was the most common thing. It was just, oh, you had the right house number, because once they're on the road, they're looking at the house numbers. They're not looking at the road number anymore. So if they turned early or turned late and don't realize it, then they're on the road just looking for the house numbers. And they see the right house number, they deliver it. Bingo, bango. Slight misdelivery. But hi, welcome in. We are... Woo! Making a mess. Did I get that on me? I don't think so. I was just going to stir this. It needs a little scrape on the bottom. But again, it's not burning, it's just catching a teensy bit. And it's wet enough at this point that it's not really in danger of burning. But anything that catches on the bottom isn't infusing with our sauce, so give it a scrape. Oh, it smells really good. We should probably give it a taste before it's too late to add stuff. But how's it going? Welcome, welcome. This is our beef chuck and orange ragout. Put that lid back on. That seems kind of super shady there, Megs. I've never left a review. I avoid shopping on Amazon whenever possible. I only buy things there when I absolutely cannot find them somewhere else. I just strongly dislike Amazon. Speaking as somebody who technically works under the umbrella of Amazon right now, I don't really like Amazon. That makes sense, Liz. There have been some pretty high-profile review bombings, and there's probably a filter system set up just to ensure that a product isn't getting trolled to death. I mean, more than a day is probably just a... I don't know. I can't imagine they're reviewing them by hand, by individual, because they're cheap and they're running it all through an algorithm. So maybe they just have a fail-safe. Oh, you bought a... That's right, you were looking at the Ninja Combi, and I thought that thing looked pretty good. And Ninja's products are generally pretty good, but if that was a third-party cookbook... Was it a third-party cookbook? What's cooking? Well, at the moment, I'm about to start boiling some pasta. The pot in front here by you guys is our beef ragout with oranges. I've never... have I used... So I've got my own Ninja product. Turn that down a smidge before it boils over on me. I've never used any of the recipes from the book that came with my multi-pot. What am I hearing? Oh my god, there's fireworks. Why are there fireworks on the Friday the 6th of December? I did not. The ragu is not going in the magic pot. It is going to be finished in that pot there. Mags was talking about a different Ninja product, and I was pulling out the booklet for my magic pot and saying I've used the guide at the back that's just times and temperatures for various individual ingredients. But this booklet is also a recipe book, and I've never done any of the recipes from it. So maybe we should do that someday and just like crack it open and start doing do a recipe, see how it is. Do a product review of the recipes, because the actual device has been going great. I don't do normal recipe. Thanks. Thanks, I appreciate that. You don't do normal recipes. St. Nicholas Day. I'm looking it up. I started hearing noises out the backs. It is the Clearwater Winter Parade. There we go. They even have a picture of fireworks. Satoru Iwata's birthday. That's definitely not what they're shooting off fireworks about here, but neat. Happy birthday to Satoru Iwata. Okay, stir your noodles so they don't stick together, especially these tube noodles. They love to form a little vertical clump on the bottom of the pot. Fireworks every Friday home game, and you're also startled. You're always startled by it. I don't know if you can hear them. My soundboard actually is picking them up. Like the mixer on OBS is picking up the booms. Finland Independence Day. I don't think it's Finnish independence celebration here. Just gonna go out on a limb. You don't hear them. They're not super loud. I can just see them. They're not nearly as loud as me talking. But when they happen, I can see the mixer jump a little bit. Yeah, and we haven't made a huge mess, which was part of my goal today, which is why I wanted to do a one pot, everything in one pot kind of deal. I didn't want to make a massive mess. But yeah, I think we're coming down to it. We're going to put some cheese on this because there's no cheese in the mix of the sauce. What have I got? What have I got for cheeses? I've got some Asiago. Some mozzarella. And some inappropriate cheeses. You use a sound amplifier. I'm not doing a monitoring on my own, so I can't tell you if I can hear them. Obviously I can hear them because they're right outside the window there. What do we think? Do we do a mozzarella and do Asiago? Bookwoman also says Asiago. Okay. Okay. You're the boss. I live to serve. We're gonna let these noodles keep going a little bit. I don't think they're quite there. Tell you this about something else I got. We're gonna figure out what to do with it because I don't know what to do with it. But I was excited because they were on sale. Eggs. Look, eggs. Yup, just normal eggs. They're duck's eggs. 6 duck's eggs. I'm not sure what I want to do with them. They were on sale, not use it or lose it sale, just regular on sale. They're used by the end of January, so we got some time on them to think about them. But yeah. I mean, yes, we could use them like chicken's eggs, but it'd be nice to look up, use them in things that specifically call for duck's eggs. Because I know they're supposed to be more, like the yolk is supposed to have a richer flavor than a chicken's egg. So it would be nice to give them a chance to shine. Push comes to shove, we make, you know what we could do? And what we probably could have done today, actually, make pasta. Make homemade pasta. Wow. Wow. They're doing like a full... Did you hear that? I went and stood outside for a sec. They were doing like a full finale, like, neat. We could do homemade pasta and use duck egg, which in theory should give us a bit of a richer flavor. We could make mousse. Mousse is a possibility. We've got possibilities. We only have 6 eggs to work with, so we can't go like do everything we can think, you know, everything under the sun. But and we're not in a duck nog. Duck nog. That's a good idea. We'll play with those. If you've got any other suggestions, drop them on me in the Discord or Blueski or, I don't know, yell at me on the street or something. I just got those, so I was like, because they were on sale. I'm not sure what I'm doing with them. Just wanted to show them off. Let's make sure the bottom of this has not caught. And it has definitely caught. So we're going to scrape it again. Yeah, and it's coming loose pretty easily, so we're not in the burned range, but I probably should have stirred it a little bit. No, we definitely have a little burning this time. Not a ton, little bit. So we're going to scrape this guy down. I got distracted by the fireworks. Of course, I added some sugar to it. That's probably why it caught again, even though I had the temperature down. Okay, I'm actually going to take the temperature completely off on this. And let me show you the trick. There's a trick. Custard style ice cream. Aquafaba. I'm going to show you the trick to see for how you can tell when your pasta is done. It's real easy. It's super simple. You take one noodle out of your cooking pasta, and you just go. And if it's done, it's done. Those are actually BRB gonna get ice cream. I will wait. Well, I won't wait. I'm gonna keep storing stuff. Make sure we don't catch it again. Although with the heat off, this should no longer have a chance of catching on the bottom. This has become very like dark and caramelized. It looks so good. I haven't tasted it since our last ingredient addition. And you know, the proper way the proper thing to do would be to get a pan out and finish the pasta in the sauce. That's the proper way to do a sauce. But I don't think this sauce needs the help. You could. I bet you could put this in a bao bun. I bet you that'd be real tasty. We're not doing that right now, but I bet you that'd be real tasty. It's got a very, I don't know how well you can see it. It's super glossy. None of the fat is pooling on the bottom at all. It's just developed this really sort of glossy sheen to it, which is what I had hoped would happen with the all that fat from the start. If it was not doing that at this stage, we would be attempting to get that fat to set up with some starch. We'd be attempting to sort of force a roux to develop just to grab that extra fat, but we don't need it. Because when I pull it away, we don't have any pooling fat, so there's nothing for me to grab onto. So it's going to be very rich, but not like dripping with oil. Since quite a bit of that fat is also rendered beef fat, when this cools, it's gonna probably really harden up. Beef fat tends to get really solid when you chill it. But yeah. Okay, we're gonna do this the right way. Which means I'm getting another pan dirty. But if I made a delicious thing, then I'm gonna do this the right way. So we'll take the heat off there. We will take a scooper. Of our sauce. Heat on there. Off-brand Superman ice cream. Sounds good, sounds good, sounds good. But I just added some butter to this thing. Okay, well that's getting started on that pan. We're gonna cut up a little bit of parsley. Dietitians, look away. We've added butter to our rendered beef and bacon. But it's okay, because there's olive oil in it. That means it's healthy. That's how it works. Get that guy down to the pan. Why is Superman ice cream so good? I don't know. Off the top of my head, I could not tell you what they're using to flavor it. In general, ice cream is good because it is a combination of fat, sugar, and salt. The creamy texture helps a lot too, but the flavors come from getting that balance of fats, sugars, and salt. If you don't salt your ice cream, it doesn't taste very good. That's just a fact of life. Nope, there are still a couple in there. No, there's still one in there. I can see it. It's escaping me. Aha. Oh. I said one, but in fact there were four. Okay, that's all of them. We need a plate ready to catch this. We need to throw our parsley. See, there's parsley in it. That means it's healthy. I took too long. The edges of some of the noodles started to catch. You can do this, but you have to be quick. The cooked noodles will try to catch on the stainless. But that right there is looking pretty good. That's the plan. Okay, off the heat goes. We don't need it anymore. We have a little bit of stuck noodle that's going to get left behind, but most of them did not do that, so we're good. Keep them moving, keep them moving, keep them moving. Serve. Tiny bit of a mess on the edge. We'll clean that up in a sec. Here's a trick. I just did it. Hi, Jay. Welcome, welcome. I just did the trick without really calling attention to it. We did an Italian thing and a French thing to make this really sing on the plate. So we mounted the sauce, which is after the sauce was complete and cooked and ready to go. We took some of it, we put it in a pan. You could do this with the whole pot, but it's easier to do with a smaller amount. and you melt some butter into it. You don't cook the butter all the way through it. You melt the butter into it. So you have just some lightly cooked butter fat in there. And that is called mounting the sauce. We just threw some parsley in with the mix just now. But yes, some fresh parsley would also be good. And I think some fresh basil would also be probably pretty good. Let me clean up the plate a little bit before I add anything else. Putting the butter into your sauce like that gives it that beautiful glossy shine. Whereas if you put the butter in early and really cook it through, it doesn't quite have that beautiful gloss to it. And the other thing we did was the Italian thing. Take some sauce, put it in a pan, add your cooked pasta to your sauce, and cook them together. We call this finishing in the sauce. And what that does is the starches from your pasta, a little bit of pasta water helps too, but mostly the starches from the pasta that have partially dissolved form almost like the beginnings of a roux, and it helps the pasta stick to the sauce. It also helps with the consistency. It eliminates any sort of wateriness, thickens your sauce just a little bit to help it adhere. And we just did both of those things. The Italian one of cooking your pasta in your sauce, a lot of people know about that one. It's not so much of a hidden trick. It's also the one you should definitely not forget to do. It makes sauced pasta really good. Okay, our greenery is greened. Our cheesery is about to be cheesed. We don't want too much cheese, but a little bit is definitely called for here. Okay, we're cheesed, and we take our fresh parsley basil mix and we give us a little sprinkle and a little mound. Oh, and a few cracks of fresh black. And there you have it. That's the thing. And there you have it. That's the thing. Find the best forward. Probably that side. Let's go take a picture. Oh, where did I drop my phone today? Still in my coat pocket. Okay, let's come back and taste this beast. Let's taste this critter. See what we're working with. I can't imagine this is going to taste anything but amazing. But who knows? You never know until you dive in. So we'll dive right in. Mmm. 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 I'm surprised, actually. It's still, at this point, very beef forward. Like you're not, it hasn't been lost. We haven't cooked it out so much that it's just melded with all the other things. You get a distinct hit of beefiness right at the start. It's very rich. It's rich and savory. It really needs the fresh herbs on top to It's so rich. It's so rich. It's sweet, but just a little bit. It's savory. It's very savory. It's got a, it's got a, it's got like a almost a dark flavor to it. I think that's possibly because we did catch the bottom a few times and then had to scrape it up. I bet you there's a little bit of over caramelized. I would hazard to say slightly burnt sugars down in the bottom of that. But I really like it. It's got this like dark flavor. This like really like depth to it. I hate saying depth because what the heck does that mean? But it's, I haven't hit any pieces of orange. I'm going to see if I can poke around. You can still see them. Or is that a carrot? No, that's an orange. We're going to fish out a piece with some orange on it. See how the orange comes through, just because I can't see them in there. Mmm. 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 Oh, man. The thing it is, first and foremost, is so rich. I'm going to need a glass of wine. I'm going to need a side salad. Mmm. Wow. It's not like it's super intense. It's just like it's super, it tastes really heavy. I'm glad I didn't add all those tomatoes to it. I'm glad I stuck with just a little bit of tomato in it, because I think it would have been much more acidic, much more, like we only added a little bit of vinegar to try to balance it out. I think if I'd added all the tomato, the acidity of the tomatoes really would have taken this to a much more acidic thing where it's unctuous. Yes, exactly. That is the word. That is 100% the word, Liz. It is unctuous. You only need a little bit of this. Definitely one of those ones where you just need a little bit on your pasta. But yeah, it's the orange is nice. Hitting a little piece of the orange. It's not real intense. It's not super strong, but it's distinct where you get that little citrusy burst, which I think helps a ton because it is, as I said, and yes, is it rich? I know I said it 5 times and with deeper and deeper inflections each time. But yeah, it's rich. It was, I feel like you could do this as a slow cook. jalapeno or hot pepper cut the richness? I don't think it would cut the richness. It would complement, I think. That would change the character of the flavor we're working with. Hi, Miss Sepsi. At the moment, the only spice in this is black pepper. The only like piquant spice in this is black pepper. I'm gonna eat this and take a nap. Well, I just hit a bacon bit. Oh, the bacon bits are still bacony. Interesting. Even though they were the first thing I put in, they're still bacony, just a little bit. And the orange. Putting the orange in there was a good idea. It gives you some moments of this really dramatic variation. I think you could put hot peppers in this, to answer your question. I think you put hot peppers in this, and it would work, but it would be distinctly different. And if I was going to put hot peppers in this, I probably wouldn't go for a jalapeno. I probably would go for some of those Mexican stewing peppers, like guajillo, ancho, those sort of smoked dried ones, I think would be the way to complement this. And I'd chop them up rough and let them cook down in the mix. Sweet cherry pepper. I don't think I've had that. Lime or lime juice. Well, I put some vinegar in there, so you could use lime. And there's orange in it too, so it would change it would change the character, but I think you'd still be able to make it work. Lime is quite a bit more acidic, so it would give you more of that brightness, that for sure would balance out some of the heavy, fatty richness of this. Some lemon would also probably be quite good. Orange being the least sharp and acidic of the mainline citrus fruits probably means that we're in the realm where we're not hitting that really high note of acidity. Tell you what this does taste like, though. It tastes like something that you would have as a warm, comforting, amazing meal on a cold day. And it would really stick to your ribs. Okay. I mean, I didn't follow a recipe, but I followed the basic guidelines of how to do this. Maybe mashed potatoes. They might be too dense and heavy. I like the rigatoni. It's picking up the sauce quite well. I think tagliatelle would actually have been the best sauce for this if we had made our own pasta. Ooh, gnocchi, yes. Yes, gnocchi would be good with this. Yes. For sure. Oh, Liz is on fire today. Okay, I want to get to this before it cools off too much. So I think we're going to move into our wrap-up phase. I know who I want to raid already, and it is Nomi. Nomi's not cooking. I don't know that Nomi has ever cooked. But we are going to go raid Nomi because Nomi is doing a subathon, and we're going to go support that. Would a flavored pasta work? I see no reason why a flavored pasta wouldn't work. You could also, I think, very easily add some greens, spinach or kale or something. Cook them through the finished sauce now. Like take some of the sauce like we did with the pasta, cook your greens through it, and then put that on top of a pasta or something. Because I think just by itself, it's kind of dense and it needs a little something to thin it out. Which in my case, I just did by using less of it. But you could, because it is so rich and well flavored, you could, let's start that raid, start raid. You could use it and you could bulk it out with something like spinach or kale or cabbage or something like that. Because what we have here is a very meaty, densely flavored, rich, fatty thing. You could definitely take this as a starting point and make other things out of it rather than just use it as a sauce, which is what I've done here. But your earlier suggestion of putting it inside of a bao bun, I think would work really, really well. Because again, you're combining it with a larger quantity of something that's much less flavorful. So definitely places you can go with this. This is the basic. You could do this with pork. You could do this with lamb. You could do this with any sort of fatty meat and really just stew it down. That's essentially what we did. We made a stew and then used it as a sauce instead of serving it as a stew. We're coming to the end of my countdown, so I'm going to take this moment to say I shall be back on Monday, and I'll see you then. Bye.